Win a Pageant, episode 56. I created this step-by-step process after training thousands of women across the U.S. to win. Now you can have access to these winning strategies when you join me every Wednesday. Let's win a pageant. Hey girl, welcome back to Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your coach, Alicia Darby. In today's episode, I want to share with you a vital key to success. Now it's super simple, but it is not easy, and it is called taking action. Taking action is the number one thing that separates the good from the excellent. All of the people with amazing ideas from those that have amazing results. Taking action means using the knowledge that you're gaining from teachers, from coaches, from books that you read, life wisdom, even from this podcast, and allowing it to flow through your strengths, your skills, and to take action to actually help others. People who do not take action are not releasing their knowledge into the world. So imagine like a running creek of water that's constantly being refreshed. It's taking the information that it's receiving and sharing it on down the road. But if nothing is flowing through you, like that river that's glistening and continually flowing, then you are either swampland or a flood. If you aren't gaining anything new to pass along, then you're swampy. You're just kind of sitting there stale. If you're only gaining new information and you're not taking action and letting it flow through you, then you're going to be flooding over. And other people can tell if you're swampy or flooding, and nobody wants to hire someone. No one wants to even be someone that's swampy or flooding. Pageant judges can tell. To be successful in pageants and in life, you've got to take action to make an impact. If this is a skill that you can learn in pageantry, you can apply it to every area of your life. But just be careful because it does sort of sneak up on you. I have a specific example I want to share with you about this. When I was considering launching this podcast over a year ago, I told my podcasting coach, I believe in a coach for everything that you want to get excellent at. And so I had a podcasting coach, and I told him I was all excited and I had this great idea of what I was going to be doing, that I had already been working with thousands of women all over the world. I had a ton of insights and stories to share and ideas, and I just couldn't wait to start. The next month, I had not taken action, and I told him the same thing. I'm so excited. I've got this great idea, and I shared a little bit more about how I wanted it to come together. And he looked me right in the eyes and he said, "Do you know why you haven't started yet?" And I was like, well, no, I don't know. And he said, because as long as you don't start, you'll always have a great idea to talk about. But ideas are hollow without action. And I was like immediately convicted, like, oh no, he's so right. I have all this information. I've got all these ideas and all this insights and stories to share with women all around the world. And yet I'm keeping this to myself, and it's hollow without action. He was basically giving me a smack across the face saying like, listen, I don't care about your idea. You can have a lovely idea all day, but if you're not doing anything about it, then it means absolutely nothing. So I immediately went to work. I launched my podcast 3 weeks later, which is like absolutely unheard of. Usually it takes months and months to get this kind of thing together, but I was just so motivated by that conviction. Now, the podcast hasn't even been out for an entire year. We have nearly 15,000 listeners in every English-speaking country across the world. I get emails and messages and calls constantly about how I have changed lives around the world. It is so exciting to see that. But the truth is, I do not change the lives of women that don't take action, only of the ones who do. I want to share with you an email that I received from an incredible go-getter. Victoria is 15 years old. Listen to what she wrote me this weekend. Victoria writes, "First, I would like to say thank you so much for all of your podcasts. Everything that you've taught me, I have taken into my everyday life. You are absolutely amazing. The last 2 years, I placed in the top 10 in my pageant. I have done so much mental preparation for this upcoming pageant thanks to you. I realized that my biggest problem from years before was that I was scared of all of the other girls. I gave up too soon. After listening to your podcast about the Legacy Project, I have decided to start a pageant board. In this board, I have everything to inspire me and to keep me in the right mindset pageant weekend, like quotes, notes to myself, I am my 5-star qualities. But in addition to this, I'm going to add my legacy project for my platform. I'm thinking about not even this one title as much as the pageant systems that I'll be doing in the future, because I do want to leave a lasting impact on the project that I take to heart. Thank you so much. I admire you and I consider you one of my role models. Victoria, I am so glad that you shared this email with me, because with that level of commitment to action taking in just the podcast that she's learning, she's committing to taking action on everything. And nobody is going to be able to compete with a chick like Victoria. With this type of power, this woman is going to soar. And she's only 15. Like, imagine what she's going to be like when she's 18, when she's 30, when she's 42. It is absolutely unbelievable, the trajectory of Victoria's life, where it's already headed. So I want to share with you 3 simple steps for taking action just like Victoria has. Because when you get a project, when you get an idea or a creative thing that you've got to implement, it usually first shows up as a big picture. It's a huge vision. So how do you actually take action to make it really happen? Well, step number 1 is to decide which one thing you can implement within the next 24 hours. Now, this is important because before that, you've really got to look at what are all the steps that need to take place. But once you have a very first idea, usually the thing that's the smallest and easiest to manage is to just do your research. Maybe even the smallest manageable thing is to write out a list of all of the things that need to be done to make this happen. Maybe you want to just record it and put it in a folder so that you remember the idea when it comes time to do your senior project or whatever, right? You want to make it something that's very small and very manageable, but you got to take action within the first 24 hours of an idea. That is vital to ultimate success. So step number 2 is you've got to make time for this in your calendar. So after you've decided what small manageable thing that you'll do the next 24 hours, write it down in your calendar, figure out when are you going to actually do this. My recommendation to you is that this small task that you'll complete the next 24 hours will only take up to 30 minutes to complete. Now, sometimes we know that when you don't really know how much time it's going to take. So sometimes it does take longer than you think. But if it's only something that takes about 30 minutes, maybe even 15. Maybe it's as simple as texting a girlfriend and asking for that book that you couldn't remember the name of it or something, That's going to be the thing that gets the ball rolling. Once you take that step, the next step becomes that much easier. And then the next step is that much easier. And then the next step, I'm telling you what, it's like a snowball. The third thing that you've got to do is do it. You got to actually take the action. Many, many, many people imagine the one thing that they're going to do, and then they write it in their calendar, and then when it comes time to do it, they do not do it. I have a sad story that I want to share with you of a client of mine who that actually happened to. This is an example of someone who is not an action taker. Now, this is over a year ago. I was working with a client. At that time, I was working with women in 1-hour increments. So it was possible to work with me for just 1 hour at a time. I no longer do that because it is a huge disadvantage to the woman that believes she's going to be able to win a pageant in 1 hour. That is just absurd to even think that. So now I want to only work with women that have an understanding that it will take more than just 60 minutes. And so now I serve women in packages that offer them everything that they need to really get them from point A to point Z as fast as possible. This is partially my fault because I really wasn't able to hold her accountable to this, but it's also because of her lack of action. So I just want to share this with you. Over a year ago, this woman that I worked with has an incredible story of overcoming what she had to go through, what she saw and how she experienced the world at a very young age, and how she developed and grew out of that. Through this, she had an incredible, I'm talking a brilliant idea for a book. She wanted to write a children's book that would help them to overcome similar things. She had passion through the roof for this topic, and she's a smart girl, very, very smart. But passion and smarts do not outweigh action taking. Now, when I met her, she had only a few months to really prepare for her pageant. So she was limited in her time of how much she was able to commit. When she competed, she referenced the book that she will be able to write. So she still talked about it in her interview and stuff, but it wasn't completed yet, hadn't really taken any form. So she did not win, which I'm not surprised by because she wasn't really at a place where she was able to go all in. She only had such a short time to prepare. Now, the sad part of this story is I watched the same girl compete just a couple of months ago in the exact same pageant an entire year later. And I watched her in her onstage answer talk about the book that she plans to write one day. Now, the thing that makes me so sad about this is that she's got passion. She's brilliant. She's a smart girl, She's got so many things going for her, except for the fact that she's not an action taker. So did she win? What do you think? No, she did not win. The truth is she didn't win. And why? Because pageant judges can sniff this stuff out, Last year she was talking about the book that she was going to write. It's been an entire year and she still hasn't written the book. Now, contrast that to my current client, Emily. Emily is 18 years old. She is slammed with honors courses. She's the president of 3 organizations in her school. She just got accepted to Penn State University. She's also serving as a varsity team captain. This girl has the world by the tail. She is also an action taker. We've been working together for a few months now, and she's only 2 months away from publishing her first book. It's completely written. She's in the editing phases right now. We're preparing for publishing. We're working on her cover artwork and things like that. She is going to be going to college as a freshman, her very first year in college, as a published author. How cool is that? That is the value of taking action. I had a Mrs. contestant, Candace. She joined my VIP Jumpstart program with 2 months to prepare for her pageant. She did not know what she was getting herself into, but in 2 months, this woman created a YouTube channel. She brought on 2 sponsors to help fund her legacy project. She won her national title 2 months after being a part of the Jumpstart program. And she said that her entire interview was about her legacy project because they were so curious. They were impressed by her success, and her vision and everything that she'd just done over the last 2 months. Taking action is vital to success, not just in pageantry, but in life. I want this to be a part of your everyday life, just like Victoria, just like Emily, just like Candace, because these type of women are the ones that are making massive improvements, massive action, and having massive success. So right now, we're going to do this together. I want you to think about the goal that you are ultimately wanting to achieve. It's going to be big. It's going to be like a big picture goal. You're going to feel overwhelmed by it just already because you're thinking oh my gosh, where do I even begin? This is so big. Boil it all the way down to something that you can do within the next 24 hours to make progress toward that goal. Maybe it's asking a friend to recommend a book. Maybe it is getting a resource that you've been putting off. Maybe it's just Googling around to see what's already existing there. Maybe you've heard about the free pageant course for months and you have not yet signed up. That is crazy. It is free. There is no reason to not get it. freepageantcourse.com. That is an amazing place for you to start. If you just need to take action on preparing for your pageant, you just got to get going, okay? Look at your calendar. Plug in where can you complete this one thing. I'm not even saying go through the entire free pageant course. I'm not saying read the entire book. I'm not saying Google for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. I'm not saying write your book in the next weekend or something, okay? You're thinking of what can you do in 24 hours that just gets the ball rolling. Your goal is to do it. Take action. Do not forget the third step, which is actually do it, because that, ladies, is how you win a pageant. I want to give a special thank you to Victoria for sending me this email this weekend that just inspired this podcast. I just am so happy for you and super pumped for everything that you have that's going to be unfolding for you. To Candace and Emily and many of my other clients, I've got tons of them that are just making major waves in the industry and in their lives. So congratulations to you ladies that are truly action takers. I love that. I always say there's a huge difference between the dreamers and the doers. And I want to always be working with the doers because they're the ones that are going to be winning pageants. So way to go, ladies. Hey, if you've got a story that you want to share about how you've taken action on these podcasts, please share it with me by emailing alicia@winapageant.com. Or you can even leave it for publicly for other people to see too by leaving me a review and hopefully a 5-star rating at winapageant.com/iTunes. I love, love, love reading those and hearing about your guys' success. So thank you so much. Please keep them pouring in. I love to hear about your success. I so appreciate our family of winners, and it's awesome having you in this group. I'll talk to you next Win a Pageant Wednesday. Hey there, I'm Alicia Darby, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching that last video. If you totally loved it and got something from it, would you just click subscribe right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel? Hey, I am here for you, and I've got so many more trainings and videos for you. In fact, this one would be a really great one to watch next. Or if that topic doesn't interest you, then try this one. It's my most recent video training. So I think both of these would be really great for you. Thank you again so much for subscribing. I am honored to be your coach. I'll see you again soon.